Hi everyone, Patty here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's card share, I'll be making a brightly colored Valentine, and we will be using the Paper Tray Ink Open Your Heart stencils. There are 2 stencils in that set, and then we are also using TCW Light and Fluffy Modeling Paste. I'm using the Ranger spatula. And the paper is the Nina metallic paper, and I used the white gold. I love that paper. The shimmer shows through even if you ink it. So let's get started. I have a couple panels that I already pre-inked and stenciled. So on the first one, I added the paste after I inked, and on the second one, I inked over the dried paste. And you can see the shimmer from the cardstock coming through. That's why I love this cardstock. So you can get 2 different looks using the same products. So on this demonstration then, I'm using the Nina paper, my favorite Ranger tool. I love spreading. I'll use the spatula too, but the palette knife is my favorite. It just relaxes me to spread it like that. So using the stencil, obviously right after this, I had to run the stencil to the sink and wash it. And now for this one, I'm inking up just a blank panel of the Nina metallic paper in white gold using my Catherine Pooler inks. So the first ink I used was Dress Blues, and then I used Glam, and then I used Flirty Fuchsia, and then I used Pucker Up. But if you don't have Catherine Pooler inks, I think most of us have Distress or Distress Oxide. You can use Faded Jeans, Seedless Preserves, Wilted Violet, or Picked Raspberries and get very, very similar colors with your ink blending. So on this one, I chose to do it from the corner up, but on one of the examples, I do it from the bottom up. And I'm using the Waffle Flower Media Matte. I've had it forever, and it still looks brand new. I just love it. So after I gave the ink time to dry, and I believe I used my heat tool to help set it too, I'm spreading the paste on. And it goes, this paste, y'all, it is so smooth. It's so easy to work with. And then once I have the paste all spread, I do like using that spatula or spreader to smooth it out. So now on this one, I let the paste dry about 20 minutes and then came in with my colors. And I'm doing it on a notebook. I had cleaned up the Waffle Flower Media Matte, and then I decided to do one more. So I'm just doing it on the back of a notebook paper. I do this all the time. So I've got things written that I need on the front of the notebook paper, but I don't want to waste. So on the back, I do ink blending, or I'll do Copic coloring on small things so that if I go off the edges, it gets on the notebook paper. So I have very colorful notebooks throughout my craft space. So getting this all blended and going back and forth, it takes honestly 2 blends to me to get a perfect smooth blend. So here I wanted to color on some images that I had die cut out of vellum. And so I had pre-tested it on some vellum, and I decided it was RV66 that I used to color these on the back of the objects. And I ended up not using the stems and the leaves. I just ended up using the hearts. And I'm using my Sweet Petunia. It's just a sticky mat, and I only use one of these mats. This again gets all the extra Copic on it, and every once in a while I'll clean it off with some rubbing alcohol. So what I'm showing here is I trimmed the card down a little bit, and I only let the paste dry for about 20 minutes. So some of it, the white came through because it wasn't fully dry. So all you have to do is re-ink over it, or you could use some patience and let it dry for maybe an hour, and it won't happen to you, or overnight. So just touching it up, it took the ink well, not a big deal. So I have to tell you, Catherine Pooler inks are my favorite. I do use some Distress, but I don't know if it's the pad, and it did take me a little bit to get used to it. But those inks are so amazing. They blend well. I don't have to, I have a lot of arthritis, and I don't have to push so hard on the brush to get things to be okay and to get the color out. it's just tapping. It's so nice. Nice and smooth. So then once I get these cleaned up, and I do have to say one thing about this paste is it did cut. Like you can cut through it. And yes, there's a little bit of white that showed, but I mean, easily fixed. So that was pretty easy to take care of. So I adhered. I didn't want to force you to sit through all the things I did. So on this card, I had used the Love Ya by My Favorite Things Dynamics. And the heart is MFT heart out, cut out. And I cut it out of vellum. I didn't color it. I cut 3 of them out, stacked them, and then put the Love Ya on. That Love Ya is my favorite sentiment. It's perfect. So this one, this is one that I had trimmed down a little, so I got the nice white frame. I think I trimmed all of them down, or most of them down. So I used the CZ Simon Says Stamp Trio of Love, and then the Simon Says Stamp thin frames to create that. I love swak. I had to explain it to my husband, which I think is kind of funny, what swak meant. And this one, again, I used the Simon Says Stamp CZ Trio of Love. And then the colored hearts that I had used. And these are from MFT Staggered Hearts. So did that. And I'll be doing a little bit more with it later. I did stack the sentiments 3 high. And I did run them through my Xyron machine to get them to adhere. And then for my next card, I used the Moi from Simon Says Stamp and CZ. And then I colored the vellum with, I believe it was a R59. And the middle part, the XOXO, and the lips are MFT's Love Icons. And then I used Simon Says Stamp frames and scallop border. And then on this card, it's a Pretty Pink Posh scalloped frame that I have had forever, but they still sell them. I love them for Easter too. It's really sweet. And then the Wild About You from Simon Says Stamp and CZ for the sentiment. And then just a couple of the cards I wanted to add just a touch more. So I used the Dress My Craft pastel clay hearts on those 2 cards, and just my Barely Arts glue, which is the only glue I will use on anything anymore. It's so great. So just gluing the little clay hearts down, and that finishes my card project. I want to thank you all for coming today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.